Ladies and gents, welcome back to another video. In front of me here is a small package and inside of it are two devices. If I remember correctly, there's an iPhone 4 and an iPad 2nd gen, both running iOS 4. So let's get this thing opened up, check out our devices, find out what condition they're in, and see if we have ourselves two of some rare Apple products. So let's begin. Okay, I must say that was a really poor packing job. These devices are just loosely wrapped in some bubble wrap. The iPhone 4 was not even in anything. It was just like sitting on top of stuff and just kind of fell out with opening the box. So this is not the appropriate way to send rare devices like this. Just in a couple layers of loosely wrapped bubble wrap. There's no tape on here, and these devices were just rattling around inside of that box. But luckily, they are undamaged, although we do have some scratches on this display. Also pretty dirty on these devices. Lots of fingerprints, dust, and scuff marks. But let's get these things cleaned up, and then I'm going to try to power them on. All right, we'll start with the iPhone. We'll see if this thing has any power. And it does. We got the old Apple logo there right away, which means there's no downgrade here. How about our iPad 2nd gen? And also an old iPad logo or an old Apple logo. Obviously 30-pin connector. This feels like an iPad 2nd gen. It's not heavy like a 3rd gen. Unfortunately, there is some engraving there at the top, so that definitely takes away from some of the device's value. Let's see which boots first. I'm expecting the iPad 2nd gen to boot a little bit quicker, and it does. It's much more powerful there than our iPhone 4. So I think actually we're going to start here with the iPhone 4 because I find it a little less interesting than our iPad 2nd gen. So we do have the old style slide to unlock with no camera shortcut. And definitely iOS 4, we've got the iPod icon. iOS 4 was the last version for the iPhone that featured that iPod icon. It was switched to music in iOS 5. Let's head into settings, and first of all, we're going to turn up our brightness. Turn on automatic brightness there, click on general and about, and we're running 4.3.2. This is a 16 gigabyte model, so that's pretty cool. Carrier is AT&T. So very nice, and this is a pretty cool iPhone. Obviously, this launched in, I want to say 2010. I think this was the last iPhone that Steve Jobs introduced. I think this was his last iPhone keynote in 2010 with the iPhone 4. A new design with this super, at the time, super thin edge there. Glass on the back. We got a 5 megapixel lens. We got a flash. Super premium feel with the buttons there. Of course, we got our Retina display. Got a FaceTime camera. Overall, just a super, super premium feeling device. And it even to this day still feels super nice to hold. It's just pretty small compared to some of the newer devices, but still pretty cool to have this on iOS 4. This is running a single core Apple A4 chip, the first Apple Silicon processors, if you will. It was an 800 megahertz processor with a 512 megabytes of RAM. Pretty slow, but running iOS 4, this thing handles it really well, and the Retina display looks fantastic on this device. So let's go ahead and set this over here to the side. And we'll talk about our iPad 2nd gen because I think this is even harder to find on iPad on iOS 4, which is what we have. Got the iPod icon down there. We're going to go ahead and turn up the brightness, which actually didn't really do anything, did it? It's like look at this. Obviously it's dark here. We can go all the way up to there, and then it just kind of stops. It doesn't get any brighter. That's kind of strange. Not sure what's up with this display, but it's like it's stuck at 40% brightness. But if we head into settings, general, and about, you can see we're running iOS 4.3.3. This is also a 16 gig model. Pretty cool device. And look how simple this is over here. There's like no different settings to pick from. iOS 4 was very simple. especially on the iPad. There was no iCloud, there was no FaceTime, or sorry, there is FaceTime. Yeah, there's FaceTime, but there's no iCloud, there's no iMessage. Just a very simple device. We'll check out the iOS 4 wallpapers, which is kind of a mix. Well, really, it's just a lot of old wallpapers. This is the traditional iOS 4 wallpaper that you would see on a lot of the marketing. This is the original iPad first gen wallpaper, which looks super nice, but I feel like we have to reserve that for iPad first gens. I think the Wave looks pretty cool, so I think we're going to have to go with that on our iPad second gen here. The iPad second gen is the most powerful iOS 4 device. This has a dual-core A5 processor clocked at 1 gigahertz, 512 megabytes of RAM, the same as the iPhone 4. But that dual-core A5 is significantly faster in both CPU and GPU performance. Huge gains with the A5, and this was an incredibly popular iPad. This might still be the best-selling iPad of all time. I haven't checked my numbers on that. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. But the reason this is difficult to find on iOS 4 is because this iPad sold so well, was sold for so long. You could actually buy this with the iPad Air first gen. So they were sold alongside each other. The iPad second gen started sales in 2011 and will be sold in 2012, 2013, and I think maybe even the beginnings of 2014. So this iPad was sold for a long time and so many people bought it. It's really hard to find one that has not been updated because they were used for so long. And people tend to update their stuff as they go. So pretty cool to get both of these devices on iOS 4. iPhone 4 on iOS 4 with its Apple A4 processor. That's a lot of 4s, but super clean product there. And of course our iPad second gen with its dual core A5 chip on iOS 4 as well. Thank you so much for watching. That's going to do it for this video. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in another one of my videos.